The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip, and it's Monday.
And I'm CJ. There. Now
yeah, there you go. I'm just going to tell you again, CJ, a little low. And it's a Monday, and again, we have tons and tons of things to talk about.
Hey, I understand that we're back in the USSR.
That's right. All you people that I'm complaining because what the hell? We only had an increase in a tax factor, a maximum increase to 2.5, $123 million bond issue for sewers, and an increase. And I heard that you nearly stroked out. They had to send EMS over to your house when you opened up your water bill.
$593.
And all that, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's only 31 cents a day. It's only a cup of coffee. And we got something we want you all to hear.
This comes from an interview with WSAR.
And it's the superintendent of schools.
Is when this thing opens. But this is an awesome opportunity for the city to really build a state-of-the-art building on a cost that's reasonable. As this councilman said, that's $3,000 across 30 years. Come on, we got to save up. This is the cost of being American. You got to do it. It's democracy. You don't want to pay those prices? Go someplace like Russia where they don't have, tax-funded parcels, facilities, buildings, stuff that's of a greater good like we have.
Well, spit it out, Manny. Well, I hate to tell you this, but that cost over 30 years ago. Yeah, you can have a $1,000 car for 31 cents a day if you want to pay for it for 200 years and pay $10,000 for a $1,000 car. And in addition to that, what have we done with all the rest of the money that we've raised with all these maximum increases? Can anyone remember the last time we didn't raise taxes to the max 2.5? I'll tell you what we did with them. We gave Mary Sahadi a 50% pay raise, a $40,000 pay raise. We elevated Kathy Ann Viveris' salary to a rate where the average Fall River, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, the person who's making the average per capita wage in Fall River will take a little over 6 years to earn that. It only takes her 1, but you have to work 6 years. We have the lowest household income in the state. But what the hell? Don't worry about it. You can afford it. It's only a cup of coffee. Oh, it's only 31 cents for 700 years. Not your great-grandchildren, but your great-great-grandchildren will be paying on this debt. And that's only if we pay it and pay the principal and the interest, which we never do. This is, they talk about misleading, and they want to have this forum to ferret out all the lies. Well, they don't lie. They just tell half-truths. And the reality is, again, we see the total disregard for people who work their entire lives for a living and then are on fixed incomes. Or, look, circumstances had it to where they could not get a $100,000 a year job or have, as the mayor does. Another thing they're doing with our money is creating all the positions for everybody in his campaign. Now we got a new chief of staff, and he invents a job for the other one that followed him around like a puppy and gave it some euphemistic title.
Special assistant to the mayor, Monica Souza.
Special something specialist, like like there's some kind of, we're working on I guess we're working on a space project. We got our own space agency here. But again, more jobs for everything, and this is the problem. We saw the mayor at Riverview basically told the veteran to go, hey, go live where there's a bunch of crime and drug addicts and stuff. I don't care. We're not going to take your voucher, because that voucher kind of puts, it's like the old mark they used to have during the colonial period. What was that? The mark that they took the women who were adulterers and they
the Scarlet Letter.
The Scarlet Letter, yeah. Who could forget that? There was
big
actually,
A.
The big A. You get the Scarlet Letter. Project-based. So now they'll drop the B. You only get a giant P mark. So that makes you some kind of lesser human being because you're unfortunate enough not to make a whole bunch of money. So, you know, we should have finished this sentence and said, well, if you would have worked on my campaign and given me the little money you have, I would have found you a job somewhere and you could afford the rent.
Give money to my legal defense fund now.
Yeah, give it to my legal defense fund, too. So, you know, this is the whole problem. And we look at it, and our friend Marc, again, the magical disappearing Durfee Debt Act, poof, it's gone. They keep changing the figures and putting it in a context that it'll appear like it's nothing. And then we got a superintendent of schools who, by the way, lives up in an affluent area of Boston.
Roslindale.
Yeah, Roslindale, going, and then this is America? And I got to get this in before. I know, CJ, I'm taking, but
oh no, take all the time you want.
The Goebbels-esque attitude in this city and throughout this country. Who the hell ever said that taxes are mandatory? As a matter of fact, that's a big lie. That this is the price of democracy.
Yeah, that's the
price
of democracy.
Well, guess what? The price of democracy and freedom is the blood that our military has spilled throughout the years.
Oh, come on, Chip. You're telling the truth again.
To protect this country. And shame, number one, shame on the superintendent of schools for telling people to move to Russia. It's unprofessional, and it's mean-spirited. And then to go on and say the price of democracy is taxes. How the hell did you ever get to be superintendent of schools? Oh, wait a minute, you're in the Weld administration. You're a political hack. That's how you got most of your jobs.
He was in the Deval Patrick administration.
Deval Patrick. So he's a political hack. So where did you ever get this? Everybody open up your Google and Google Thomas Jefferson on taxes. From our founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, to today, Milton Friedman, everybody that understands economy says taxes are regressive and we should not tax. And when you Google it, and you Google Jefferson, you'll probably see an aside that says, well, most people don't know, there were virtually no direct taxes to the citizens of the United States from 1776, when we became a country, till 1916. Look it up. Malone, you're supposed to be an educator. Educate yourself. There was no direct taxes on the citizens of the United States from 1776 to 1916. This came about when the Industrial Revolution came about, because business and big money figured out a way to finance themselves like they do now. Screw the taxpayers in Fall River. Just keep piling the bills on them. Remember, they make a staggering, each person, the average income is a staggering $22,156. But you give a multi-billion-dollar corporation like Amazon 0 taxes. You give Market Basket, another multi-million-dollar corporation, 0 taxes. You reduce the tax factors on the businesses, even though we know in all the cities with a lot of businesses, they're paying a 7.5 because people have money and they buy their goods and they're glad to pay the max. So all this stuff is crap. It's Goebbels. You tell a big enough lie often enough, and people will believe it. So people, before the vote, Start doing your homework and start realizing all the money we've collected in the past 10 years, where the hell has it gone? It's gone to new jobs and pay increases. And my last thing before I wrap up this tirade is, when the hell has anybody in this city ever seen a dean of students for middle school children? I don't know anybody that's ever seen a dean of students until this era. First time anybody ever saw a dean of students was in college. But now we got it with its large salary in the Fall River school system, along with vice principals and assistant to the assistant vice principals and everything else, all of which
cost money.
Make them go to the city council meeting and say, you know, can't afford it, move out of the city. The superintendent says, hey, shit, I'll go a step farther. Move to Russia. Don't move out of the city. And one last thing, when you read, Google Fall River Mule Spinner testify. Fall River Mule Spinner. It came from the untold story of labor. In the 1830s, they testified before the United States Senate, and he talked about how he was making $125 a year for a family of four, and how he had to go around and pick up wood and eat clams out of the Taunton River, but he couldn't sell them because they had to eat. And then he was asked, you mean to tell me there are people living on less than $125 a year? And his answer was, because his testimony's there on most sites, he said, no, they're living on even less. They're living on even less. And you know what the Senate told him? Well, why don't you move out west and go get a homestead? And his answer to that was, what do you want me to do? Walk out there? I don't have any money. So guess what? All those people who talk about the glory days of Fall River, the working man was still getting stomped, getting his gut stomped out. All right, CJ, I'm done.
No, you're not. I'm going to get you going again. I'm gonna light that fire. Guess where Matt Malone grew up?
Swampscott.
Newton.
Newton! Oh, that's even better. Swampscott, Marblehead, that's the North Shore. Newton. Wasn't Newton just picked as the best city in the state of Massachusetts to live in? And guess what? Newton has a 7.5 tax factor.
That's right.
And 10,000 more businesses. But they also got $127,000 household income in comparison to our 35.
And now I'm really going to add insult to injury. Are you ready for? I'm going to give you his title now. Besides doctor, Sergeant Matthew Malone, retired, United States Marine Corps.
Well, that explains everything.
I figured you just love to hear that.
Well, I don't know why he put that on there, but but I'll tell you what. That's not. Now that makes me say double shame. Double shame on you for telling people to go to Russia and not understanding that the freedom of our nation was bought in blood of Marines and military, Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, bought in the blood of our service men and women. That's the price of freedom, not taxation. Taxation is a man-made malady. And every economist says it's regressive, but politicians don't care. They will keep lying to you, and next thing they'll tell you is, listen, you know, we can make it for 60 years, and then it'll only be 16 cents. So it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. The basic concepts of economy don't even apply when you talk about government. That's why Milton, my boy Milton Friedman said, you give them the Sahara Desert, they'll run out of sand. They do not know how to stop spending money, because all they do with it is build stuff and let their buddies get the contracts and give all their friends jobs and give themselves pay raises. So, I mean, if you're going to fall for this, look, the poor downtrodden taxpayer and renter, because, by the way, guess what? When CJ got his $500 bill, and I know you posted it, that's why I said.
Oh, yeah, I posted that bill.
I mean, how the heck can you keep rents down? Because remember, the statistic I read at the council. Rents in Fall River average 700 and, I don't know, 700, low 700s. The rents in Newton are 1,700 plus. So 2.5 times what they are in Fall River. And that's where Malone grew up. So I guess he's not used to poor people. He's not used to people that is scratching a living, trying to hold on to a house. And a city with a ton of retirees that don't get $85,000 to $100,000 in their retirement so they can afford. Now they've paid for their house, and now this city is going to break them. Just grind them into dust and say, move to Russia. Or as the Senate said in the 1830s, go out west and get a homestead. Go west, young man. Go pitch a tent. Go west, young man. Go west with no money. So, I mean, things haven't changed, but
in Fall River, we don't tell them to go west. We tell them to go somewhere else.
It's Fall River. It's an art form.
But this is an awesome opportunity for the city to really build a state-of-the-art building on a cost that's reasonable. As this councilman said, that's $3,000 across 30 years. Come on, we got to save up. This is the cost of being American. You got to do it. It's democracy. You don't want to pay those prices? Go someplace like Russia where they don't have, tax-funded. Parcels, facilities, buildings, stuff that's of greater good like we have.
Apparently, he's never seen Moscow. They've got some of the most beautiful architecture you've ever seen. They do have good buildings. Their economy is probably, even though it's bad, I'll bet you that...
Probably better than Fall River.
Our economy, people look at the economy, and again, it's a big lie. They talk about how good we're doing right now, but it's only the businesses. The income of the average working man hasn't moved in a decade. That we keep getting crap for wages, and the businesses keep making more money because now they gave the big businesses tax cuts, and now you come to Fall River, you don't pay any taxes, no matter how much money you got in your pocket. It doesn't matter that you afford it. Remember, the cost of living in America and the cost of doing business is taxes, and that's not true. Because, as I said, from Thomas Jefferson to Milton Friedman to Winston Churchill, they said that you cannot tax your way to prosperity. Live within your budget. Vote no. We are not against a school. We voted for a school. We all know we need a school. But the question is, don't let them con you. Ask them, what have you done with the money? Hold up the article with Monica's new job. Hold up the Herald News article with Kathy Ann and Mary Sahadi's pay raise. That's where the money's going.
Right, and it could be going into this. And think about this for a second. Amazon, $100 million TIF. Market Basket, $10 million TIF. South Coast Marketplace, $30 million TIF. That's $140 million right there. Blount Seafood, they got, what, $5, $10 million. Keep adding these up. And remember, the money doesn't disappear. Because it's a TIF, it doesn't mean it disappears. It means it gets shifted from them to you. You pay that money. That's why your taxes are going up. People say, my tax bill didn't go up 2.5%. No, it's 2.5% on the aggregate, on all of it.
The tax levy, the aggregate tax levy.
That's right.
And guess what? When they give them a $100 million tax break, that $100 million goes into the tax levy. And guess who picked it up? Raise your hand.
That's right. We did. Right here, And the problem we have is that people don't understand that. They're like, oh, if we didn't do that, they wouldn't come here. They wouldn't give us jobs. That's bull. That's the line of bull. They already bought the land. The company already bought the old Harbor Mall. What are they going to do, buy it and just say, okay, the hell with it, we're going to leave it there? They had a plan for it. They just wanted to get some breaks. And I don't blame them. They're a business. Get what you can.
Yeah. No, I don't blame them at all. But the fact is, it's another giant lie. They won't come here. Of course they're going to come here. This is a place where you can get a whole bunch of workers from this area to work for cheap money and show up for work. Because a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of places they go in this nation where their workforce doesn't show up for work because there are a lot more opportunities to get jobs for more money in that area. So you get a workforce and you pay them on the low end of the pay spectrum they start not showing up for work. They look for other jobs, and there's a big turnover in workforce. Over here, you know, there's very few jobs. We're always leading the state or up near leading the state in unemployment. So somebody gets a job here, even though it's crap, even though they're only going to make $22,000 a year, which is peanuts. It's $400 and change a week in comparison to Kathy Ann's $2,600 a week.
Right.
Plus a little bit more than $2,600.
Well, you know,
so let's get them numbers one more time so they can sink in. 400 and change a week versus 2,600 a week. Not a month, not for 3 months, which is about, you know, not for 6 months, which is about.
Let's do it with something they can understand a little better. Even Monica Souza's job, $1,000 a week. $1,000 a week for Monica Souza's job. Okay? Yeah. How many people out there are working for $1,000 a week? No, they're working for $400 a week. That's what they're working for. So again, even when you're a political hack, when you have kissed such political ass that you can get these jobs, and that's what you're doing. You're working on campaigns. You're servicing the needs of the candidate. You're making sure that they get elected, and this is your payback. This is your return. It's a patronage job, $1,000 a week, and who's paying for it? You, the taxpayer.
And by the way, so I know we've been doing this. Westport residents expressed concern about school building blank check at a forum. Well, they let the horse out of the barn up there.
That's right.
Literally and figuratively, because there's a lot of horses up there. It's not like Fall River. A lot of barns in Westport.
A lot of cows, too.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's very rural.
There's plenty of bulls, and there's lots of bull, you know what.
Yes, you know, green and white lawn signs, single word yes, urge voters to approve a new grade 5 through 12 school building. But, you know, but they're worried because, as I said, the people of Westport realize the last thing you want to do is give away that kind of money to the government. Because who knows? We got a little extra money like we always have, as Ken Pacheco said. That could mean more pay raises, more new jobs for political, you know. It's not like we hired people that have some kind of background. We didn't hire somebody who was an engineer to do a job that requires engineering knowledge or something. No, we hired political sign holders and gave them some pretty damn good jobs.
That's right.
Yeah. What did we give the chief of staff with virtually no qualification except she ran a campaign? Let me do some quick math here. $78,000. That's without the benefits. So $78,000 divided by 52 weeks a year. That's $1,500 a week. That's 3.5 times what the average person in Fall River gets. Not a bad gig.
And think about it. I mean, people say, "Oh, those wouldn't pay for the school." If you add these up, they start becoming aggregate. They start collecting, and next thing you know, like $140 million in TIFs, they add up fast.
Yeah, and, they add up, and you're right. They add up fast, but add them all. Add the CFOs, add the chief financial officer of the school, and the dean of students. But that's not the point in reality. The point is, with all the taxes we've paid, we can't stay within a budget, even though a former city administrator said we could. The reality is they don't want to. So they're not going to talk about the fact that we should be able to afford this with all the money they've raised in the past decade. But they've managed to urinate it in a hole and give it away, whether it's in deals, pay raises, new jobs. The fact is that this city is supposed to provide. This city isn't supposed to be a patronage employment agency, a place where all your friends can get their facades put up and their streets fixed for millions of dollars. Cities and governments were created, as Jefferson said, to provide essential services and no more. There was a time long ago, like Star Wars, in a
in a galaxy far, far away.
In a galaxy far, far away, in this nation, people talked about things like cutting the fat, bare bones budgets, only spending money on what's necessary. Over the past decade or so, that's just disappeared. It's been replaced by the new mantra. Tax them to death. Convince them that taxes are the price of not only a prosperity, but our superintendent of schools says it's the price of freedom. You can buy your way to freedom. It's tragic. Tragic.
Well, you know, I have to say this from Marc Dion's column. He says, the urge to put a little sugar into a bitter cup of coffee required the participation of Mary Sahadi, an adaptable accountant known to agree with the administration.
Yeah.
If we're lucky, the $115 a year will vanish from your tax bill, and the last 22 years of the 30-year bond will be paid from regular tax revenue, which is also your money. Any way you look at it, it's your money.
And the thing is, I will bet you, and we can leave it in a hermetically sealed jar, I will bet anybody that it doesn't disappear.
I'll put money on it, too.
Because guess what? You tell me the last fee or tax that ever disappeared in this city. Remember? We had a mayor elected because he said the sewer fee was illegal. And then when he got in, he went, oh, wait a minute, it is legal. Just keep collecting it. Because he looked at the budget and said, wow, look how much money we're digging out of the wallets. Let's keep this one. Let's find a few more things we can do.
Let's raise the rainwater tax. And, you know, people forget 4 years ago, Terry Sullivan saying we should be getting $75 for the rainwater tax.
Yeah.
And right now we're up to 43, and he wants to add another 10 on it. That's going to be 53. Pretty soon we're going to be up to $75 a quarter, people. And guess what? You're paying for it because, no, you know what? You're not rising up. You need to rise up and take back your government. Control your money and make them control their spending. Because that's your money they're spending.
That's right. Remember, this is the first step. Shoot this down. Tell them find the money, live within your budget, reprioritize the people, because the first thing they're going to say is, we're going to cut police and fire. And I say, no, you're not, because I will initiate a taxpayer suit that they're jeopardizing the public safety. You know, do not talk to me about cutting fire or police while you got Monica with their new job getting $1,000 a week. Your former campaign manager getting $1,500 a week, Kathy Ann getting $2,600 a week, Mary Sahadi getting $2,200 a week, and all these jobs never existed before. And it's ironic because Carlton Viveris is the spokesman for on the pro position, a mayor who virtually never raised taxes, and if he did, infrequently. And a mayor who knows the difference between the old Fall River and the new Fall River. He had businesses when he was mayor because he kept the taxes low. We had South Main Street and the Flint had businesses. All the stores were open on Flint, in the Flint and South Main Street when he was the mayor. You know, it was a different Fall River. And I'm going to look forward to debating Carlton because, like Carlton, I was around during that era. And not only that, I was on the executive board of the Fall River Regional Task Force and the Education 2000 Committee that created the plan for the 10 schools that we built without overriding 2.5. So I look forward to it because I'm going to remind Carlton that he didn't raise taxes every year. So stay angry and show up at the con meetings.
And show up at every meeting and ask these questions and let them know. Because you know what? There is no worse tyranny than to force a man to pay for what he does not want merely because you think it would be good for him. That quote is from Robert Heinlein. Remember that, people.
And all taxes are regressive. Milton Friedman.